Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering, this time from Scholars Games in Brockton, Massachusetts, part of our Wednesday Legacy series. Every week at 7:30, we do 3 or 4 rounds of Legacy coverage that is streamed live to Twitch, and of course we archive it here on YouTube. And we've got robots, the spiciest list from the latest GP. This was a top 8 deck versus a tried and true deck in the format in Death and Taxes. And coming out here with a Vault Skirge on turn 1. A Walking Ballista in hand, which is an excellent trump to that Mother of Runes. And there is the Jitters, Jitte, however you say it in your area. It is bad news for 1/1s all around the world, and Stoneforge threatens to get that into play and start taking out all of these tiny robots. There's a Mox Opal, a little bit of acceleration. The deck has access to Ancient Tombs, City of Traitors, and Mox Opal, all of which can really accelerate the game plan. Now, all 3 Vault Skirges entering the battlefield, investing 6 life. We'll see how much life comes back. The other way, they do have lifelink. Now, this is not quite like the Affinity Modern lists. It does not run a suite of cranial plating or Master of Ethereum or any of the other pump effects. It's just Steel Overseer is going to make these guys bigger, or possibly Arcbound Ravager's modular tokens. Vault Skirge not as strong in this deck, or perhaps even in this format as it is in Modern. City of Traitors, 4 mana for a Walking Ballista at 2, and 3 comes in the air. And here comes Umezawa's Jitte. Okay. And this does threaten. City of Traitors is out of there. Port being played, that's going to be able to take that factory out of the equation at a later point. Right here, going to be happy to kill the Stoneforge. Also going to be able to kill Mother of Runes. Going to get a counter off of that. Almost certainly not going to let that point of damage that was dealt go to waste. I'm going to need to draw a creature here. That back online. 6 damage coming in off of the second factory pumping. Just a couple turns away from lethal here. Not the best spot for Death and Taxes with only 2 mana in play. Aether Vial, typically the type of card that could help out here. And there's a Thalia. Looks like Chalice and Caracas are the last 2 cards. Caracas just backbreaking here, getting Thalia out of the way. Usually that Caracas is going to be targeting things like Gristlebrand or Emrakul, but happy to take out the 2/1. It does happen to be legendary. And that use of 2 mana, so important. Revoker is going to be able to really not stop much. Cutting down Mox Opal. And there's a Ravager, and that'll do it. Ravager going to be able to play defense there and protect whichever Vault Skirge gets targeted with that remaining counter. So on to game 2. Thorn of Amethyst and Chalice of the Void, very suspect in this matchup. Taking a look at Ensnaring Bridge. Not at its best, but there are 8 cards you definitely want to be taking out. Spellskite, certainly strong enough. Ratchet Bomb's a consideration for sure. Sorcerer's Spyglass and Pithing Needle, both of those can interact favorably with the equipment or Aether Vial. Can also potentially impact the lands that are in play. Rishadan Port and Wasteland can be problematic lands. So this list is card for card identical to the list that top aided the GP. However, the sideboard a little bit off, didn't have access to the Karns. Kind of threw this together at the last minute, thought I'd have everything I needed. I was caught off guard by just how difficult it is to track down Karns, so hopefully I'll have those for next week. Try and get a couple of weeks in with this list, as it is very spicy. Chalice decks coming in a variety of flavors now, not just the mono red menace that people have been facing with Blood Moons and Magus of the Moons. Here a little bit more aggro, using Thorn of Amethyst as the secondary lock piece instead of Blood Moon. Walking Ballista, one of the stronger cards in this matchup. Leading out with Aether Vial. Taking a little time to think about this. And a Wasteland, Lotus Petal, into Steel Overseer. Sorcerer's Spyglass may have been a reasonable turn there. Would have shut off that Aether Vial. Swords to Plowshares, taking out the Steel Overseer before he gets active. And there's the Spyglass. Gonna get a peek and gonna be able to name a card to shut down here. We see Preacher, Stoneforge Mystic, and Recruiter of the Guard. Gonna just verify how Preacher works. If he is shot down with a Walking Ballista counter in response to his activated ability, the Death and Taxes player will not have control of their creature with priority. And it looks like the wrong card being named here. Aether Vial continuing to tick up. There's Preacher. Aether Vial almost certainly the correct call. Without having an explosive hand, Aether Vial is going to put in a lot of work here. There's Wasteland. Getting the exact Oracle text on Preacher. City of Traitors into a Walking Ballista. That can actually take out the Preacher now before he gets a chance. There's the Stoneforge Mystic off of that Aether Vial activation. I believe the card named was Stoneforge Mystic with Sorcerer's Spyglass. Definitely an error there. Stoneforge really doesn't need to use its activated ability to wreak havoc on this game. Going to create the tutoring effect. 2 mana either way to get down, and then 2 more to equip. So this is far from ideal. Looks like we're going to have a block and then throwing it at the face, preventing those counters from entering. Gonna need another Walking Ballista or something. I mean, this Vial is really posing a significant threat. Wasteland taking out Wasteland. And at this point, City of Traitors kind of a liability. Now, factories could create some type of resistance, but even the 1/1 Recruiter of the Guard, a legitimate threat when carrying a piece of equipment. Of course, Mirran Crusader, a very upgraded threat there. Even if Tim decided to play it slow and Recruiter into Recruiter, he'd still be in reasonable shape here. And we've got a swing. Declining to use Rishadenport could have forced combat damage right to the face. Instead, trading that Stoneforge Mystic. Then a Sunlance. Not often seen. 3 damage to a non-white creature. It's sorcery speed, so getting that factory out of there. Wasteland taking out Rishadenport and essentially permanentless. Never had a keyword for that. Probably could just call it losing. And there's the Mirran Crusader picking up the Jitte. We're going to be seeing possible pumps pre-combat. With Double Strike, it does make all of those counters pull double duty. The other side of that is it is rather tempting to keep those counters around to remove any type of kind of defense that might mount on the other side. And now we're looking at a massive strike on the crackback here. It's going to be over 30 damage. Going to be able to remove a counter to kill that Ravager. He'll respond with a eating of that useless Sorcerer's Spyglass and Aven Mind Sensor sealing the deal as well. Going on to game 3 here on the play. Gonna hope to avoid any type of catastrophic misplay there, like we saw with the Sorcerer's Spyglass. Ended up being very punished, essentially throwing the card away. At the sideboard, seeing if there's anything else bring in here. Considering Ensnaring Bridge. The first couple of matchups here of the night. Not exactly the type of decks Robots wants to be facing. Seeing Goblins and Death and Taxes, both of them Aether Vial decks that can ignore both Chalice and Thorn pretty effectively. Ensnaring Bridge is a card that I can play around with this list very effectively. Can sacrifice it to Arcbound Ravager if need be. Can also swarm underneath it pretty effectively, moving counters around. All of that, it could potentially prevent a blowout. It is tough when you're looking at 8 cards minimum to come out of the deck. Couple of mulligans here. List is very spicy. Would love to get to play it against some of the more explosive decks in the format. See what the next match of the evening is. But I'd love to see things like really anything in the combo spectrum would be very welcome. There's that Aether Vial, Walking Ballista on the other side off of Ancient Tomb, chipping away at the life total. Then a Spellskite, which is going to be able to protect that Walking Ballista potentially. A couple of Rishadenports. And slow down some of the beats here. And it looks like Tim's still no white mana. We see a Swords to Plowshares at the front of his hand. Darksteel Citadel. And choosing to pump instead of swing. So getting in 2 damage instead of 3 here, but that investment should pay off long term. Can always cash in that counter to get that extra damage back. But for the rest of the game, we'll have a bigger body. City of Traitors allowing for an additional pump here. And Vault Skirge coming down. Oh, Sarah Avenger. And this card is going to be hugely problematic. So this, we're going to have 3/3 Flying Vigilance. Almost certainly going to be worth it to sacrifice the Walking Ballista here. This card's going to just run away with the game. And Vault Skirge just blocking. Gotta think this is not the optimal line here. Walking Ballista would have been a pretty reasonable trade. Seeing the ability to grow this Ballista. Perhaps getting distracted by the danger of cool things. Yes, it's a 5/5 Ballista, but no, that will not save the day here. 5 is going to come in. Even the life gain is a huge problem here on Umezawa's Jitte. The ability to gain 4 life going to really completely negate the ability of Walking Ballista to shoot to the face. And there's Mirren Crusader. Now, Crusader not particularly amazing here. Revoker pretty strong. That's going to stop any likely interactions from here. So Mirren Crusader getting shot down by Walking Ballista. Revoker going to come down, stopping any further pinging. And this should do it from here. City of Traitors. Etched Champion, too little too late. That will not do. And a couple of activations later, and that is the end of the round right there. Death and Taxes taking out robots in 3. That's all for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please help grow the channel by subscribing. You'll be notified when we upload new videos like Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic with commentary, or Untapped, our raw tournament gameplay. Thanks for watching.